You're listening to Talk Star Wars, a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Talk Star Wars is a production of Emotionally 14. For fantastic podcasts, video series, blog posts, and much more, visit us on the web at emotionally14.com and enjoy content for the permanently teenaged. Hello there, and welcome to Talk Star Wars episode 192 from Emotionally14.com. I'm your host, Rob Wade, and I'm joined, as always, by the Chewie to my Han, Brad Harmer Barnes.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a Chewie to your Han.
Yes, Brad Humber Buns, or McClunky Humber Buns.
McClunky Humber Buns.
Is what we've established.
Fall on to your Zuckers. All the Zuckers still fall on, it depends on your perspective.
It depends on the toy manufacturers and what they do as well.
It does that as well, yes. I got an action figure joke.
Yeah, indeed. You know, we got a toy with those every now and then. Hey-oh!
Hey-oh!
Yeah, I got that. Literally the only one I've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are things? All right?
Yeah, things are all good. I think. Yeah. I've not been Star Wars in much, apart from obviously working on Talk Star Wars and Fileman Ready.
Sure.
My daughter is currently Scooby-Doo obsessed.
Yeah.
But I did watch I watched one of the films, Scooby-Doo Moon Monster Madness, which not only featured Mark Hamill as one of the characters in it, but also apparently Grey DeLisle has been the voice of Daphne for the past few years, who is, of course, a Sarge Ventress in the Clone Wars. That
sounds right, yes. Yeah, in fact, I remember when we were on honeymoon, we watched a lot of TV.
Star Wars, legal disclaimers. Rob and I have never been married.
No. Again, it's you know, obviously long-time listeners will know. Long-time listeners will know, and you know, obviously short-term listeners will soon learn that I'm married to somebody who's not Brad. We squabble like a married couple sometimes, but it's all in fun.
I feel like if we were married, we'd be quite good at it.
I feel like of people I know, there are way worse.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it'd be like kind of, I feel like in the sort of upper middle of the pack. Like, wouldn't be the best possible, wouldn't be the best possible combo.
Well, no,
because obviously we're married to those. Yeah, we're married to those. Anyway, so we were on honeymoon, and we had this this period of time where we were watching a lot of TV because the itinerary we'd been given looked very full, but there was a lot more downtime in the afternoons and evenings than we thought there'd be.
Yeah.
So a lot of that involved TV, and over there, much like when I've been on holiday to other continents in the past, they syndicate a lot of American TV, which is fair enough. And we watched a Scooby-Doo. What was it about? Chefs. Something to do with a chef school. Gourmet Ghost, I think it was.
Okay.
Something like that. But it was, and Grey DeLisle was on there. And I remember thinking, I do this whenever I'm watching a film, especially if I'm watching it by myself because my wife is asleep, which happens quite a lot.
Oh, yeah, doesn't it?
I entertain myself by IMDbing any voices that I feel are vaguely familiar. And I remember thinking, oh, there you go, there's one, familiar one. We did, speaking of a Sarge Ventress, actually, I'm going to jump a little bit in the notes I've sent you. We got a message on the comments on emotionally14.com's page.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this was the thing.
Yeah, but for a change, it wasn't spam. It was actually a person. And it said, Brad and Rob, love the show. I would like to add that Karen Gillan would
certainly do.
Yeah, I would like to add that Karen Gillan would make a fantastic Ventress.
I mean, I loved his run on Darth Vader, so sure.
No, Karen Gillan.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah, you know what? That's a really good shout.
Just Kieran because of the bald, right? Yeah. It's because of the shaved head.
Yeah, I considered it last week, but I didn't say it because it seemed too close to the role she plays in Guardians of the Galaxy as Nebula. There
are similarities for sure. But it would be something she could probably do a little bit. She'd have to put a voice on for a start. Anyway, that concluded with all the best from Brian in Ohio. So it's one of our American listeners. So Brian, thank you for messaging us on emotionally14.com's comments, because like I say, it's nice to get a real one every now and then.
Isn't it?
Because so often it's like, this is a fantastic article. I'm like, here we go. And then, well researched and entertaining throughout. The author did a great job. Link. I was like, you don't think I can see these links, but I can. And I know, and I can see that they don't go to, aren'ttheseguysgreat.com.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they should. In fact, that happened on the TSW Facebook page the other day, but I didn't take it down because it was spamming a good cause. So I was unsure how to feel about that one. Anyway, so we'll read from the notes in order now because, like I said, that was just because we were talking about Ventress. I thought I'd throw that in there. But our first message this week comes from Vesuvi. And Vesuvi writes, "Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Brad.
You're welcome, Vesuvi.
Thanks, Kristen Stewart, being cast as a moisture evaporator." I mean, that seems fair. From last week's conversation, that seems, perfectly reasonable.
No memory of that one, but okay.
There was, we would cast, I said Kristen Stewart might have the look about her. She has the sort of hard-faced Ventress style. She wouldn't work as Ahsoka, but she might work as Ventress because Ventress is grumpy. Thanks, Flirting Chewie.
Just a bit of picture in Wikipedia just saying Asajj Ventress was a grumpy Sith apprentice.
Asajj Ventress, she grumpy.
Yeah. References.
In regards to McClunky, in The Phantom Menace, Sebulba tells Anakin, I'm going to do so if I butcher the pronunciation, I apologize. Nik mi chawa wermo, mokili McClunky, which is translated in the subtitles as, next time we race, boy, it will be the end of you. And since Wikipedia states that Huttese shares similarities with Rodian, I'm guessing Greedo exclaiming McClunky would mean something like I'll end you, or I'm going to end you, justifying in George's mind why Han might shoot first. Why it wasn't translated as the rest of his spiel is beyond me. Perhaps a hilarious oversight?
That's possibly the nerdiest and most insightful email we've ever received.
That is a big list as well. And including Vesuvi's.
Even just Vesuvi's stuff, wow, that's a really deep cut, Vesuvi's, which I'm going to continue to refer you.
Nice
You've never complained.
No, indeed.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's a really great observation.
And I love you.
Yeah, likewise. Can't really add to that. I'll just, echo it.
That's just amazing.
Yeah, in such a rush today, Vesuvi, Knight of the Commonwealth.
I mean, obviously not, but carry on.
Well, P.S. Surely you know of this joint project between Lucasfilm and the British Journal of Photography presented by eBay.
I don't believe you were in a rush at all. You had time for a postscript.
This is a separate email, so I just append them. We've been through this. Right. We've done this so many times, it's starting to make me think you just don't listen to me.
6 or 1.
Well, I hope you get a chance to check out
Borg.
I hope you get a chance to check out the poignant stories and staggeringly gorgeous images of folks from Australia, Brazil, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, South Africa, the UAE, United Kingdom, and the United States of America. So you can find these. Vesuvi, I wasn't aware of this, but it's a rather pretty extensive collection, and you can find them on the web at starwarsfamilies.bjp-online.com. So if people want to check that out, then we'll give them a little plug because that seems like a good thing to do. And then Vesuvi graces us with a Resistance Roundup. And the Resistance Roundup reads as follows. This one, I will warn you now, is kind of one of those ones that's like doesn't quite sound Star Warsy. It's weird. But bear with me. This is a separate again. Anyway, the Vox Vortex 5000 begins with hype surrounding Captain Doza and Jaeger. Rhymes with Eager. Thank you.
The title sounds like a Rob Zombie song.
The Vox Vortex 5000. Yeah, it does. And I like the fact it begins with hype. But I'm assuming that's a character because it's bolded in the email.
So. I hope so, yeah.
Summoning Captain Doza and Yeager, rhymes with Eager. Thanks for that, Vesuvi, because I do genuinely forget week to week. To where Griff and Bo are wrestling out of boredom.
I've done that.
Hype proposes the idea to his seniors that they might kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Mm-hmm. That seems like a bold move for a wrestling match, but okay.
Yeah, still better than TNA.
Well, as the Aces haven't had opportunities to race since they've been on the run from the First Order, and since the Colossus is in need of supplies, Hype suggests they go to his friend's casino, which is where he initially learned his legendary piloting skills. He's got some good skills if he can pilot through a casino, and win a few matches.
This is Ridge Racer. I know this system.
Stimulating both the blasé flyers as well as provide currency to stock up on what the station needs.
How amazing would it be if you see him learning a casino and he's playing one of the old Star Wars line graphic cabinets?
Or Episode 1 Racer.
Yeah.
The casino is surrounded by the treacherous Vox cluster, an asteroid belt which Hype swears he knows like the back of his palm. The proprietor is a Hutt called Vranky the Blue. He's delighted to see Hype, but warns the aces if they don't win, he'll have to keep them on until they make recompense. I think that's plenty enough to give you the setup.
And how?
Yeah. Why is it, out of interest, that they can come up with one called Vranky the Blue, but we still don't have Suspicious the Hutt? I wonder.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Vranky the Blue. Is he down? Is he
I don't know.
Fed up?
Is he choking?
Does he swear a lot?
Yeah.
Do you mother-in-law jokes? Is it?
Does he swear a lot? I want that to be the answer. I know it's unlikely to be, but I want them to just...
Well, they can say criff and cark and...
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Damn and blast are common swear words in Star Wars.
You know, it's I personally love the idea that they just walk in and they're just like, are you Vranky the Blue? And he goes, that depends. Who are these
anyway, time code that.
I did. There's
in.
No way, right? Just as an aside, there is no way we would go from bleeping to that I just did, okay? So, Vesuvi, thank you for the Resistance Roundup. But she's not finished there.
Mm-hmm.
She also includes a Mandalorian morsel for episode number 4.
Yeah.
So, chapter 4 feels like both a respite as well as a prelude for what's to come. Almost sounds like it's about the halfway point. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It begins on an idyllic-looking world which we'll come to know as Sorgan.
Mm-hmm.
The villagers are harvesting bioluminescent krill, which they use to brew spotchka. Among the villagers are a girl, Winter, her beautiful mother, Omera, and 2 good-looking young men, Caban and Stoke. That's Stoke, not to be confused with the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's Omera, not to be confused with Omer.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Omera, not to be confused with Omer. The piece is soon shattered by a raiding party of Klatooinians. There we go. Sorry,
Can't take them anywhere.
No, I know it's Klatooine, but I just that word.
It's a weird one. Doesn't quite sit right. You say
it looked wrong. Like it looked. I read it and I was like, "Is that a typo?" And I went, "No, it's Star Wars. It's probably not." And it's also Vesuvi, so it's almost certainly not. She seems pretty switched on with that stuff. After the opening title, we cut back to our protagonist and his little ward aboard the Razor Crest. The child keeps pressing buttons despite warnings, but the Mandalorian's patience prevails over his irritation, and he just puts the young one on his lap to keep him out of trouble. Scanning cartographical data for an out-of-the-way destination, the armoured pilot settles on, what do you know, Sorgan. And that's really where I should stop. But I don't think it's too spoilery to tease that viewers will finally meet the ex-shock trooper named Cara Dune. We'll also see our first live version of a Tuca, perhaps a Lothcat, hard to differentiate. Everybody on Twitter was saying Lothcat, so and I did see, because of course, as we've established, Twitter don't care. I did see what looked very much like a Lothcat to me.
Yeah, I can't control it, so I don't let it bother me.
No, likewise. We'll also get a mention of a Gringer, and we'll see someone other than the Mandalorian use his Amban sniper rifle. Cheers to Bryce Dallas Howard for her 8th directorial effort. I hear very good things.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a bunch of Wikipedia stuff, because of course there is.
She shows her working out.
Yeah, she does. She likes us to be well researched, and that makes perfect sense to me, and much appreciated. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds very cool.
It does.
It sounds like it's building up nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have yet to see it. So
yeah, likewise. And that's fine. I had a point brewing and it's gone. That's all right. That's fine. I left it on too long. So our next message comes from Michael, and it reads,
"Hello, Michael.
Good day, Rob and Brad.
Good day, Michael.
I thought I'd try something a little different this week.
Why not?
I'm throwing down a paintball challenge to the TSW hosts. I've assembled what I believe to be a winning Star Wars paintball team. My question is, can you select a team who could match or possibly beat my own?
Correct.
Standard paintball rules. Paintball blasters only, no disintegrations. Simple elimination game. Once you're shot, you're out. 6 aside, no droids, no Jedis. This paintball match will be conducted in the forest of Kashyyyk. My team, the Paint and Menace, nice, is as follows. Han Solo, team captain and always shoots first.
Oh my.
Chewbacca brings the hometown knowledge and strategy, and the bowcaster packs a wallop. I don't think he'd be allowed to use it in a paintball game.
No, see, when you said paintball blasters only,
yeah. I think paintball bowcaster might be a bit OP there.
I hope they've got some overalls to fit in, because he's not going to want to get paint in his fur.
He's not, isn't he? Because that's never going to come out either. Because I've had it in my hair, and it's not fun. Yeah. Cad Bane, my quick draw / melee shooter. How does one shoot in melee? Put a scope on it. Put a scope on a knife.
Yeah.
Baze Malbus, direct fire support. Reiko Hardin, sniper number 1. And Aura Singh, sniper number 2.
Okay.
Very interested to hear who you assemble for Team TSW, how you foresee the match playing out, and which team takes home the SWPC, Star Wars Paintball Cup. All the best, Michael in Sydney.
I'm having to copy Reiko Hardin.
The name doesn't ring a bell to me immediately. I have a couple of suggestions straight off the bat.
He's a Mandalorian from the Clone Wars TV series.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a couple of suggestions.
He's from Concord Dawn. Sorry, my apologies.
Okay. Quick suggestion right off the bat.
Krennic.
Michael has Aura Singh. We will take Beckett.
Yeah, I mean, that's insta-win.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a good match for Aura Singh.
Yeah.
I mean, Bosk?
Bosk is kind of a counterpart to Baze Malbus, I guess.
I suppose so. I don't necessarily know that we need to offset each one individually.
No, absolutely not.
But I think you're right. I think him, perhaps Bosk or Chewbacca would be
Captain Rex.
Captain Rex is a good shout because you need somebody who's good.
If it's twin blasters.
Yeah, if you've got a 6-a-side team, you need somebody who can sort of wrangle this ragtag group together.
Krennic.
I
don't want to see his cloak get paint on it, though.
He's not a great shot. He's a good shot.
I know, we just love him, though.
But the only one he really knocks down is Cassian Andor, and he doesn't take him out.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to be allowed to use paint Death Stars. Otherwise, I'd say Tarkin.
Just know someone's considered it. Yeah, totally fair.
I feel like Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Cassian Andor's not a bad shout.
Cassian Andor's a really good shout. Yeah. No droids is allowed, so obviously K2 would be out. That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. He can be back at the base camp making the burgers.
Okay, so far, I'm going to make a note of this as we go along, just because often we do this where we say, like, let's put a thing together, and then we just forget who we've got. So Beckett...
Yeah, and we end up with 5 copies of Chancellor Valorum again.
Exactly. Beckett, Bosk, Krennic. No, we said Cassian rather than Krennic.
Yeah. Okay. Chancellor Valorum. In case there's a bit of a need to sit down dejectedly. I've only been paintballing once. I don't know how many different game modes there are.
Would there be value...
I will grant you that is a niche one.
Yeah, indeed. Would there be value in having a changeling? I feel like there would. So you could have Zam Wessel, maybe.
Yeah, to pose as Han Solo.
Yeah, you say like, don't worry, it's me. Or make them second guess themselves, and they'd be like, I've shot you. Because that's how paintball goes, you see. Mm-hmm. You go, I've shot you every time you shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Or at least if you're me, you do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Captain Rex was the other one we said, wasn't it? So we got 5 so far. We need one more.
Have we got heavy? Because they've got Chewie.
That's a fair point.
Is kind of heavy, I guess.
Bosk is kind of heavy. Obviously, with no droids, we can't have IG-88. We can't have IG-11. We can't have Forlom.
Do you know who the best shot in Star Wars is, statistically?
Go on.
Leia.
Leia's a good shot. And she's a good shout in general, really. Yeah. I mean, Luke's not terrible.
No,
he's not brilliant.
He's Jedi, and we're not allowed Jedi.
That's true.
So we can't have Leia then.
No, I suppose. Well, I suppose if she's used the Force on screen, she doesn't count, right?
Yeah, so no. And we could argue whether Leia's a Jedi or not, but in the interest of fairness, let's not include her in this paintball team.
I think we should just exclude the Force.
Yeah,
Force. There's nobody in our team. Nobody in our team so far has exhibited any Force.
That's fine. Okay, cool.
So, I feel like we're missing sequel characters. Is there anybody who jumps in for you?
As a good shot?
Yeah.
I mean, not really. I mean, they're competent. Later accepted. Poe and Finn are perfectly competent, but I don't know if they'd be my first picks for a paintball team. No. Poe, I don't know. He'd just be too pretty.
Well, there is that. You'd be like, don't get any paint on your beautiful face.
Yeah.
I won't be able to sleep. How about Jyn Erso, maybe? She's pretty good.
Don't take Rose Tycho, because every time someone in our team take a shot, she'd jump in the way and go, don't do that.
somebody tries to dive, no, and she just tackles them down before they reach the. Like, it's this weird kind of, you see Finn.
Oh, God, Finn's doing a catch of a flag and she just tackles him as he's about to win.
Yeah. Or he's like about to take a shot for somebody as he's diving through the air, and she kind of comes down at an angle so that it just takes all the momentum out of their jump and they just collapse down.
Padme's not a bad shot.
That'd be just like her, wouldn't it? Rose Tiger.
Padme's a pretty good shot. And
that's true.
She's pretty agile as well.
I was just going to say, and she's pretty, so it doesn't really help. We excluded Poe for less.
Yeah, but no, she's straight up that column in Geonosis, if you get what I mean.
You mean literally? Yeah.
I don't know what I mean. Please just laugh.
I don't know. I feel she's pretty. Again, she's pretty good.
She is. She's lovely, isn't she?
Yeah. No, pretty good.
Yeah.
She's pretty good. But I don't necessarily think there's anything about her that Jyn doesn't shoot better.
Okay, fine.
You know what I mean?
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I would exclude Rey completely because obviously Force user anyway. Plus, also she has the power blaster, and she's not bad with it. But again, not like hugely shocking.
Can I play kind of a wild card here?
Go for it.
Jar Jar Binks.
Are you thinking along the lines of in episode 1 a lot of? Oh, I was thinking in episode 1 a lot of kind of success happens around him.
You played paintball. There's lots of hiding and more so airsoft, but certainly paintball. Well, there's lots of ducking around for cover and trees and stuff, looking for the enemy. Everyone's wearing camo. As soon as he's out there shouting his head off and falling over and sending buckets at his hob's probably going to fall out of his paintball gun and scatter all his balls everywhere, because that's exactly what happens with those grenades at the Battle of Naboo.
Yeah, this is it. Stuff happens around, like success happens around him.
He's the attention of the entire opposing team, while the other guys can score an easy victory.
Do you feel like we're excluding
basically a mobile flashbang?
I guess. Do you feel like we're excluding Captain Tarful, who is competent?
But it's the incompetence I want, I think. I want that kind of...
That does sound like your strategy.
Yeah, I play orcs. It's the idea of that kind of creating a spectacle that's going to distract people. And then we've got 5 really, really, really good shots.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think through the films and think if there's anybody we're missing. Because I feel like there's probably going to be one that fans listening right now are kind of...
Could we give General Grievous 4 guns?
No droids. Do you count? He's mechanical enough.
Okay, well, as we discounted Leia, we should discount Grievous.
We should also probably kick Lobot out for the same reason.
Yeah, I mean, I assumed he was just driving the coach, to be honest with you.
He's basically like an operating system on legs, isn't he? I mean, that's...
How do we feel about Lando?
I mean, Lando's not a terrible shout, I think. That's pretty good.
He's a good all-rounder.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? Let's go for Lando.
Yeah, okay.
Lando Calrissian.
So what's our 6 now?
So our 6 is Beckett, Bosk, and we break the alliteration and go for Cassian Andor, Captain Rex,
right,
Lando Calrissian, and Zam Wessel for the tactical element.
Nice, I like it. I think that's a good team we've built there, Rob.
I do. I still think we lose.
For what reason?
Han Solo.
Yeah.
Han and Chewie, I feel like...
They might have the edge.
They might have the edge just because of these 6. It seems like none of them have worked together ever.
Yeah, Beckett and Bosk.
Yeah, Beckett and Bosk are kind of, you get the sense that they've probably had some dealings.
They've worked together,
Yeah, at least he could phone him and say, can you give us a hand? And
we are moving house. I don't know who does the voice of Bosk. I've never bothered to look.
I don't know.
That's my research.
I'm going to guess Pee Wee Herman.
Bosk are a British post-metal band. Yeah, I know they are that as well.
Yeah, that's not what you want in this case, no. I'm guessing.
And they're great. But...
Save for later.
Yeah.
Any joy? It might be like Fred Welker or whatever. What's his name? Frank Welker, sorry, not Fred Welker. Yeah. Frank Welker, the guy who voices Freddy. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, actors and their characters very rarely have the same name.
It's going to turn out to be...
Apart from Keanu Reeves, who plays Johns a lot. D. Bradley Baker.
That's the voice.
In the Clone Wars, yes.
Okay.
I don't know who did his voice. in the original.
No, film. That's not one of those pieces of trivia I know, it must be said.
Alan Harris is the only guy who's credited who was the person inside. So,
yeah, it could just be Ben Burt's noise machine.
I don't know anyone would own up to that sound effect, to be honest with you.
No, it could just be Ben Burt's fantastic sound machine.
Yeah, I know, there's so many great sound effects in Star Wars, and Bossk is not one of them.
No, indeed. He's just a...
It doesn't even sound like a monster. It sounds like a bloke going, yeah,
which is, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, it's just not the best.
No, indeed.
Yeah. Love Bossk, love Ben Burt, not the best word.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that The Mandalorian is probably factoring into some people's teams now, but whether or not that's novelty playing a hand, who knows? We'll find out.
It was always for Cult with you.
Yeah, we'll find out in March, I guess.
Yeah.
On that subject, we have a message from Dave in Perth.
Hello, Dave in Perth.
He writes, "Good day, fellas."
Weird surname.
Yeah, I know, right? Geez, you're killing me.
Are we?
I know. I don't know if these weekly Star Wars podcasts are enough to kill somebody, but that seems unusual. Not being able to talk Mando with you, it's like winning the lotto with your mates, but no one's allowed to talk about it. Can't you just go against all your moral fibre and obtain the episodes by alternative means? I understand. You're decent lads, but it's killing me here you read Vesuvi's brief summations each week, knowing that you haven't seen an episode yet. I'm feeling your pain. It's also killing me that I need to resort to listening to some American podcasts to get my Mando recap fix, but there just seem to be too many likes in the like conversations. I counted 22 likes in like a 3-minute like conversation.
Yeah.
It's a popular... What's the word? It's a popular filler word to break up a sentence structure.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty sometimes of so and like and such. Mm-hmm. I don't say such. What I mean is
22
and
in
such.
3 minutes.
22
that seems a lot.
It does seem like a lot. I mean, it's 180 seconds?
Yeah.
That's an average of one every 5 or 6 seconds. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does seem unusually high. But, I mean, I don't dispute for a second that happens because I feel like I've seen episodes before where I've heard a sentence with 5 or 6.
So sometimes I'm a freelance writer and I often end up doing kind of transcribing audio recordings. And sometimes I just I can't, this sentence no longer works with the amount of times they've said like or so in this sentence. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's the bane of my life, so I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it is a relatively minor thing. I do understand that it can be quite difficult to work around in terms of deciphering, but as I say, I've certainly been guilty in the past of doing that myself, so I do understand that.
I've never actually transcribed you, so I wouldn't know.
No, it's a fair point, isn't it? I mean...
Yeah, I've never had cause to be honest. I can always just talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. There is that. And also, in that way, you get fresh me every week. Now, I may say the same things, but they're gold, so
they're new to everyone.
Well, quite, this is it. Yeah. Every week is something... I've said some combination of words I've never said before every week.
Which is weird to think, isn't it?
It is a very weird thing to think. I was just thinking that, which was weird. I'm not going to provide any spoilers, as other inconsiderate Twitters and Instagrammers have. Is it Twitters or Twitterers? Tweeters. Twitterati. No, that's a different thing, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it or it will be killed. But
okay.
I don't know. Twitterers and Instagrammers have. But just to let you know, The Mandalorian is... Sorry, go on.
Is it?
I don't know.
Was that the past tense of to tweet?
No, that's tweeted.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
Please stop doing that. Where was I?
You were reading Dave's letter.
Yeah. So just to let you know that The Mandalorian is awesome and it's reinvigorated my Star Wars passion. It's gritty, dirty, exciting, the music is fantastic, the intrigue is wonderful, and it's just all-round quality Star Wars stuff. It's exciting times ahead if Deborah Chow is directing the Obi-Wan series, as her directing of The Mandalorian Episode 3 was superb. After four episodes, the third is my favourite so far.
Oh.
Interesting.
I have that with the prequels.
Yeah, that's fair. After 4 episodes of 3 prequels?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm a moron, aren't I?
Well, no, there's the animated Clone Wars. You're thinking clearer. You're thinking more heavily than I am. On another topic, a few episodes ago, you discussed the possibility of Obi-Wan knowing of Chewbacca when he met Han and Chewbacca in the Mos Eisley Cantina in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Do you think that this knowledge could be from Yoda, who was close to the Wookiees as depicted in Episode 3? Maybe Yoda told Obi-Wan to seek out a Wookiee in a dirt planet.
Sith hole
on a dirt planet to kick things off with Luke. Oh, well, I guess I only have to wait a few weeks until I can talk The Rise of Skywalker with you. Take care, and may the Force be with you, Dave in Australia. So, yeah. Do you think that one of the things Yoda mentioned to Obi-Wan was about, I know this Wookiee? Or do you think it would be...
I feel like Ki-Adi-Mundi would be better placed.
I think Ki-Adi-Mundi seems fixated on that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It does.
It's a major concern of his.
Well, absolutely. I mean, he does not let it drop. This is one of those things that he is very, very hot on.
I like the idea that he did actually only ever mention it once, but for some reason it's become a running joke in the Jedi Temple. But he's on about the Wookiees
Him
again.
and those bloody Wookiees.
I mentioned it once, guys. Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
he's pencil head.
Yeah, all right, mate. All right. Oh, droid attacking the Wookiees. Yeah, whatever, mate. Have a laugh. I think far more likely is that Obi-Wan is on Tatooine. Han and Chewie work for Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt is on Tatooine. And scene.
Yeah.
That seems more likely to me than...
We don't need to over-explain this stuff, because that's the old expanded universe way of doing it.
Yeah, there'll be a super weapon that links them together.
Yeah, the Death Star, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's that. I mean, there is... but I mean, before that point.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
Be like a wounding star. And they're like, wow, I hope this doesn't get any worse. And Tarkin's like, that Tarkin, always chuckling. There's a run of that, apparently. But
it just floats over a planet. It just makes... I mean, not a very loud noise, but quite a loud noise.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it makes you look up, but
it's not quite, is it? Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's relatively noisy.
He's only done it twice, so it's not a big a deal. That's the precursor to a wounding star. It's the distracting noise star.
Yeah, there is that. But yeah, I think that's, as you say, I think that's the risk of overthinking. It's totally more reasonable to me that they may have crossed paths once in Mos Eisley, been aware of each other enough, or at least Obi-Wan's aware enough of Chewbacca that it's like, oh, if you see a big Wookiee, you know, he's not. They're not all bad. Some of them are nice.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't go straight to Chewie, though. He talks to the other Corellian pilot first.
He does, yeah.
The Corellian pilot goes, nah, mate, north of the river this time of night, and walks off.
He sort of wanders off,
to Chewbacca. Yeah. I don't think he does necessarily even know who Chewbacca is. He recognises him as a Wookiee and can understand enough Shriwook to converse with him. But I've yet to see anything that directly implies they knew each other before that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean.
All he says to Luke is Chewbacca here knows of a vessel that might suit us.
Yeah, his first mate on a ship
he
that
might
might
have just
suit
told
us.
him his name at that point. It's not, he's remembered it from, 20 years living in the desert drinking his own urine.
Yeah, I mean, that is entirely likely that it's one of the things he's doing, isn't it? Let's be fair.
Yeah. It's part of Dune. Look it up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think to me it seems if there is a connection already, a pre-existing one, it seems more likely that it's just because they're both on Tatooine and, they know each other perhaps by reputation, much in the same way that, Luke knows of Obi-Wan or knows of Ben Kenobi.
Do there have been men on Tatooine, or do you just have to walk your own stuff to this, Sarnak?
There's a question, isn't it? I mean, if you...
I never really thought about Obi-Wan having to drink his own wee before, and now I'm going down the route, well, how would you dispose of anyways? Because if he's buying food from Mos Eisley, then he's going to have empty pot noodle packets and bottles and so on.
That makes sense. I mean...
Hut noodle, or whatever they're called.
Hut noodle, yeah.
Which then raises a question, is there some kind of way of reconstituting this stuff? Does he just drop it in a nearby Sarlacc?
Yeah.
Do the Jawas run kind of a rag and bone type deal? They'll take away your empties.
I don't know,
maybe. For you can trade in 50 bottle caps for a mouse droid.
That's what I'm wondering. Is if you think it's a long time ago, maybe they still have the whole 5p for an empty bottle deal going on, in which case he can save up and buy some water.
Who's the Blue Milkman, you know?
Well, exactly. This is it.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of questions about the logistics of stuff like that.
Yeah.
That I just don't think we'll ever get answers to.
No.
And that's simultaneously a bit of a pain and fine.
Yeah. You're listening, old EU. We don't actually want to know sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. There's certainly some stuff that was nice to know. But
you know, we will see you in 20 years' time when Disney Plus is completely out of ideas and we are getting a Bantha Milkman on Tatooine. And it's, guys, it's awful here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave, you may be dialed into the Mandalorian present, but we are dialed into the Star Wars future, and it is a rough business. There is, they've done a Star Wars Mr. Rogers, and it's awful.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Kenobi, it's called.
Yeah.
Hello, neighbor.
Yeah. Oh, they totally would.
They would. I think they would consider it. It's a beautiful day in Tatooine.
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm hearing, The Mandalorian is very much based on the Lone Wolf and Cub series of movies.
Right.
I'm just wondering if they're just going to keep rehashing other movies and making them Star Wars. You got to wonder where we'll be in 20 years.
I mean, the reboot, surely.
It's going to happen at some point, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that will be... I mean, there is a possibility that I may switch off before then, but that would certainly be when I would be like, nope, you can do that. You can tell stories without rebooting. That's fine.
Yeah.
You're perfectly capable. You're just choosing not to at this point.
Yeah.
And I am done. Good day.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you'd hate it if they just rebooted the entire continuity every 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, it would just suck royal.
You're a DC fan, aren't you?
Hey, it's better to have rebooted continuity than none.
Yeah. I mean, shut up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, hashtag no real rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long do you reckon? Incidentally, so obviously, speaking of DC, there's this big thing on Twitter about the whole Snyder Cut business of Justice League, right? Big thing.
I'm vaguely aware of it.
Yeah,
I'm making more of an effort with DC because partly because I'm really enjoying it, partly because of the shows I do, and partly because my daughter's really getting into it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm trying my best with DC, but I am nowhere near as knowledgeable with it as I am with Marvel by virtue of the number of years I've been exposed to this stuff.
Yeah. So the Snyder Cut stuff, to give you a sort of a summary, is Justice League was released. Zack Snyder was originally doing it all. He had some personal family stuff that meant he had to step away from just before the end, and Joss Whedon came in and finished it and released it. Now,
all the people to pick.
Film didn't go down well in a lot of circles.
I understand it was relatively poorly received.
Yes, indeed. In some cases, quite vehemently so. But I mean. My contention would be that a lot of the people who gave it the really biggest slams, you would be able to spot very clearly as Marvel shills. As in, if you go and look at their Rotten Tomatoes, it would be like they'd think Dark World was visionary and genius. And I think even the most ardent Marvel fans can acknowledge that Dark World is at least comparatively trash.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd say by far it's the worst one. I would argue it's a really boring movie.
It's
it's a full movie and it's boring.
Yeah, I'm a big Marvel fan, but more the comics. Most of them, there's only a handful of the MCU stuff I've even seen more than once.
Okay,
I find I watch it, enjoy it, and then move on.
Right.
But yeah, there are some Marvel movies. There are very, very few, if any, Marvel movies I've come up the other end going, no, that was absolute crap.
Yeah.
Even the limp ones, like all the okay ones, I come up the other end going, that was an enjoyable couple of hours. There were some funny bits, there were some action bits. It was visually impressive. That's mostly what MCU movies tend to do. The Dark World is the closest I've come to saying, no, that was a boring, bad movie.
Yeah, that for me. That is the one that's like this is just rubbish.
But it's by quite some margin as well. I think probably the only ones that rival it, maybe the first Thor, and most it pains me to say Doctor Strange by default was quite generic.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is a pretty standard introduction film. There's lots of things I really like about it. Like, even though obviously a lot of people make the Inception comparison, I think that the Doctor Strange world bending stuff was just really well done.
Yeah, absolutely. thought the casting was brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic.
It was still fun. Like I say, it was funny. It was visually impressive.
Yeah.
It was action-packed. It was an MCU movie. It was just Doctor Strange's genesis. And, they did for story.
Yes.
They modernised it, but it was still faithful to the original Doctor Strange story, which is what I think they should do.
Yep.
Because that's what works. Every time they stray too far from the source material with Marvel stuff is when it falls flat on its face.
Right.
They always tweak for Fantastic Four, and it always falls flat on its face. The exception being the new Spider-Man. They've kind of skipped forward a few years, but that's a minor change. It actually seems to work.
Yeah, I quite like those movies.
But the bulk of the MCU stuff stays relatively faithful to the comics, and I think that's its strength.
And lest we forget, also, there are a lot of movies that have got the Marvel Studios in them that are not good. Like they're very fortunate actually that some of the MCU stuff is detached from the others, because, as you say, there are 12 X-Men movies now. And I think probably
3 good ones.
I think at max half of them are decent or better.
So 1, 2, and
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past, yeah.
I mean, I don't hate 3. 3's all right. First Class is pretty good.
3 I've only seen the once at the cinema.
Yeah.
I've not really listened. If
I've heard good things about Logan.
Didn't mind, it was actually the original Wolverine Origins one. I thought was fine.
Yeah, apart from the Deadpool bit, I didn't hate that.
No, actually, the second one was perfectly fine as a standalone Wolverine story. It wasn't earth-shattering, but neither was it playing for that either. It was just an enjoyable Wolverine story.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Logan. I've heard that's very good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
No,
actually.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Anyway, so going back on. So the Snyder Cut thing. So there's been rumblings around the industry for a couple of years that there is a cut of the movie that Snyder finished before, and that it was basically just chopped apart by the editing process that Joss Whedon put to the film in order to put his version out.
As was his job description.
Yeah, indeed. He was brought in to do that job, and he performed his job admirably. Now, obviously, a lot of people, Zack Snyder has a very devoted following. And not without reason. He did the best possible Watchmen adaptation for the movies. I think it's hard to do a better job of that adaptation than he did. So Sucker Punch, I mean, that's kind of got mixed reception, I think, of the people who've seen it. I've not personally had the chance. 300
is solid.
Yeah, 300 solid.
It's a very stylish movie.
Yeah, exactly. Aesthetically, it's excellent. And there's a lot to like about it in a lot of respects.
No, he has a certain style with his movies.
Yeah.
And I feel in the next few years he's kind of in danger of becoming a parody of himself if he doesn't come out of his Zack Snyder comfort zone.
Right.
But I think he's a very good director. I think he's very good at what he does. But I'd kind of like to see him push himself a bit, if you follow me.
Okay. So there's rumblings that obviously this Snyder Cut thing has been doing the rounds. It's been gaining more and more traction. Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa have been out saying release it, and there's been a lot of people who've been pushing back against it for reasons I don't quite understand. I think it is just team sports at this point. It's like people are talking about DC. I can't have that. I'm a Marvel person, and Team Marvel must win. Yeah, I think it's pathetic, but I do think there are people who are, and I think there are people who are, I used the word chill earlier. That's a strong way to put it, but I do think there are people in the entertainment, criticism industry who are playing team sports, and it's tragic.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of rib each other for the Marvel DC fandoms we share, but it's out of fun. You enjoy Marvel stuff, I enjoy DC stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the Star Trek, Star Wars rivalry in fanboys. It doesn't actually exist. There's no real rivalry between Star Wars fans and Star Trek fans, but it's fun to make a few odd jokes in a friendly fashion here and there. You can have fun without team sports without making it team sports, if you follow me.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But yeah, when people within the industry start doing it, that's when it seems very strange to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it. I find it strange that there are people who become like cheerleaders for movies when it's their job to kind of give them as close to an objective critique as it's possible to give. I appreciate, obviously, that's incredibly difficult. Yeah. Because, I'm going to be... So, for example, I booked my Rise of Skywalker tickets today, right? I'm going to go in as a fan and try my best to be as fair as I can about whether it's any good, right? Now, bearing in mind, obviously, we have talked at length about feelings on The Last Jedi, about the stuff it did well and the missteps, and there are plenty of both in our estimation. But I'm going to do my best to go in and kind of go in with no expectations. Also, bearing in mind, obviously, they put a trailer out for that specific purpose. We do a weekly podcast about this stuff. I have accidentally spoiled myself on, at least I've accidentally become aware of leaks and things like that, and tried my best to kind of put those out of my mind, hope that certain things are out of context, because otherwise it sounds kind of not very good. But even then, I appreciate that my viewpoint is skewed. Even with that in mind, even with all those things that are kind of set me, what's the word? They kind of set me against the idea of objectivity when it comes to films. I still feel like there are people who feel like it's their job to rah for a movie, and that's weird to me. Like, you shouldn't be. You can, by all means, you can call yourself a fan. That's absolutely fine. But like, for me, that's not somebody who can call themselves a journalist. Somebody who's somebody who's not going out of their way to try and be objective, or I say as close as one can get, because all of these things, especially when it comes to art, are incredibly subjective. And this is why nobody's ever been told their idea is stupid or their point of view is stupid on Talk Star Wars, and will continue not to be so, because ultimately, I understand that nobody's opinion is worth more or less than mine. The difference is, a few years ago I started doing this once a week as a guest, and now here I am. Yeah. It doesn't entitle me doesn't give my opinion any more clout, even if, 100,000 people agreed with me, and I'm not suggesting they do. Even if that were the case, it doesn't actually mean anything in the grand scheme. It's like, I have to kind of, it makes it tricky as a creator, because like, we were talking about it kind of before the start, and we were talking about this in the context of, so we had behind the scenes, this is the second attempt at recording the episode, because the first attempt ran into some connection issues and we changed some stuff and it seems to be working. So, but in the few minutes we were talking, I was talking about kind of ideas I have that are sort of, that I'm thinking through about what next year looks like. And one of those things is, what happens with Talk Star Wars, because like, we're lucky that we have engaged listeners who write in, and, we've been able to talk for the last kind of 40 minutes or so about that. But after Christmas, there's this space. There's going to be a couple of weeks after the film comes out where people are going to want to know our thoughts, and we're going to talk about them, I'm sure. And there may be multiple viewings, because a lot of the time second viewings help. But there's going to be this big space between then and the end of March where we don't have much to talk about unless people write in. And I'm not using this, I don't mean this as like a plea. In fact, if people don't want to write in, that's absolutely fine. Because, but anyway, but I find myself thinking a lot, and one of the things I think about a lot is if Talk Star Wars were to stop, and I'm not suggesting it is going to, and this is by no means like prepare yourself. This is purely just a hypothetical exercise. It would only be because it's not even, it's easy for me to say, but that was a joke. You feel free to laugh there. That's fine. I think part of my current gripe and part of my current frustration is watching these dramas unfold on social medias. And they are between people who are in positions where they should be better. And that's not necessarily, and regardless of which side of the fence you fall on these discussions and these dramas, there are people who kind of think, oh, well, I've got X opinion. That gives me license to act like a complete tool. Because my opinion's the correct one, because person A agrees with me, and person A is important because they have a little blue tick next to their name, which means they're important. And it means nothing. Like, it's the equivalent of being online on Skype. It means nothing. Every time I see somebody kind of like begging for follows, like, and not necessarily in the sense of like, oh, follow this, you might like it. I mean, in terms of like, we're so close to 5,000. Can somebody please get us over 5,000? Like, and I saw somebody once, right, under 5,000, like 5,000 is apparently the level where you matter. And it wasn't worded as such, but that was the gist. Like, under 5,000, you haven't, like, in quotes, made it in some vague level.
Some, you know what? Vague, Twittery way.
Yeah. You know what happens when everybody gets to 5,000? That number goes up.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it means. It means nothing. Like, and, you know, I'm already conscious of the fact that in a couple of months, Twitter's already made noise about getting rid of a load of accounts that are older than 6 months old because they can't accept the new terms of service.
Okay.
I'm really excited about the fact that loads of people's follow accounts will go down. And I already know that mine is one of those.
Yeah.
Like that, because
I don't know how many followers I've got. I don't even look.
It's like, for you, I feel like it's 500 or so.
Maybe. Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like I'm a tenth of the success here.
Yeah, I think I'm only just halfway there. And like I said, I know this will go down because I've seen accounts that have gone dormant because they just don't tweet for ages. Is that whether that's podcasts that come and go or just people who get a Twitter and then lose interest. Like, and then they just don't keep it ticking over with anything, like with any kind of, even does like automated content that just kind of reminds you that they're there, right? Because even when I'm quiet, that happens. When I do pop up, I tend to just weigh in on the latest comedic hashtags and just, if I may say so, killing it. Just swing for the fences and home run every time. Like, just if that's not apparent from my Twitter at Rob Wade Vision. I'm fully expecting that loads of people's follow accounts will drop, and I'm longing for it because I really want people to get a sense of how puffed up their numbers have become and how puffed up they've become as a result. I don't mean to sound down on the tech because I think the tech has there's so much good about it, but at the same time, it has so many downsides I don't think people even fully understand the ramifications of. You know, there's something, it's like I think it was Omer who said it way back when. If you used to have back in the day, if you used to have an opinion that was kind of, for lack of a better expression, wrong, right? Now, I realize the conversation I just came from 5 minutes ago, but if you have an opinion that kind of just completely cuts against the grain of your local, you know, even just your group of friends, right? If you have a group of friends who love chocolate and you love vanilla, right? And this may have happened to you. Maybe you're a big vanilla person. Why would you not be? Chocolate is like too rich. It's just a preference. It's fine. Okay. Anyway, so you got a big group.
Waiting for you to pull this back. That's cool.
You got a big group of chocolate fans, and then you're a vanilla person. You can have a conversation with all the chocolate people about why they like chocolate. And you may decide at the end that doesn't make you like chocolate anymore and they don't like vanilla anymore, but you don't like chocolate any less and likewise, and that's fine. And you go, but at least you're discussing it with people. The trouble is now that vanilla person can go on Tumblr or Twitter or other social networks are available and they all have the same problem. And they can find 50,000 people who are like, not only is vanilla the right choice, but chocolate is evil. And then obviously this expands grander, obviously in scale of the conversation topic. It's not just about ice cream, but it doesn't matter the conversation like that you're having. There's going to be somebody who not only agrees with you, but goes one further and says that anybody who disagrees with you is somehow in some way deficient as a human being. And I don't entirely think that people fully compute how messed up that is. You know what I mean? Okay. It's like, it's just, I realize this is a bit of a weird off kilter thing to kind of, fine. Yeah, but you know, it is what it is. Like, but that's kind of how it feels at the moment. And I'm feeling, and one of the things about the Talk Star Wars discussion and the the 2020 discussion in general for what I do and what I sort of put out there is one of the things I'm kind of looking at is the state of discourse. And I really mean that in terms of like, look at the state of that. Like, it's not just the current status of it. It's literally, look at the state of this. And I don't know, it's going to take somebody with significantly more energy and wherewithal and endurance than I to even get towards making that better. And all I'm optimistic for is that, again, we can carve out our own little bit of the web that's not going to be like that for people. Like, you know, how many emails have we had disagreeing with us over a thing from a film? It's happened, you know, like if you go back all the way back to the week after The Last Jedi, I jumped on I think it was my first review episode afterwards. And it was, you know, since then it's been, people have disagreed with me about stuff.
Yeah. Hyperdrives don't work that way. They just have to accept it.
Well, this, you know, there's so many things that, like, but at the same time, there's so many things we can agree on, and there's so many things we can take comfort in and have fun with and enjoy. And it'd just be nice if people made the effort to focus more on that and focus less on the kind of the tribal team sports back and forth. Oh, I've got one over on a DC guy or a Marvel guy, or you know, like this. One of the things I really like about the Snyder Cut stuff is the people who are supporting, who want it, they just really want to see it.
Yeah,
they don't want it to come out at the expense of a Marvel movie. They don't want to, you know, show it in theaters in place of Black Widow. It's just they just want to see it. Yeah, they just want to see this film. They didn't, you know, they feel like there's more to see. And it's not to say I don't know what their opinion is on the Joss Whedon. I mean, clearly they don't think it's
particular cut.
Yeah, clearly they don't think it's the best it could be. And maybe they might watch the Snyder Cut and go, "Wow, that was hot garbage." And that might happen.
Want to see it.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think what I like about it, certainly from the interactions I've seen, and I appreciate that obviously I haven't seen every single interaction, so there may be people who are involved in that thing who are just tools, but then that happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is kind of my point. You know, I'm dancing around, I'm kind of working my way around this point. It's like it's in the middle. It's like a handbag in a dance floor, and I'm just kind of dancing around. It's what I like about the interactions I've seen is that it's just about celebrating a thing they really like and a thing they really want to see. And this is like, for me, here's the really good example of like establishing that difference. Here, I really like the character of Cassian Andor. And that's a perfectly healthy thing. Like, and it's and that's, for me, is a perfectly normal opinion to have, and that's fine. And even if you say, I don't like Cassian Andor, fine. Here would be where those two statements would kind of cross over into the extreme. I really like the character of Cassian Andor. I demand a series of him. I don't like the character of Cassian Andor. I demand that he is stricken from all canon. You know, both statements to me are similarly demanding, entitled, and narcissistic. Because they're just, you know, one person puffing up like they're the most important person in the world. And for me, that always ruffles feathers anyway. Because I find that kind of mindset a bit weird and a bit troubling for people. I actually I worry a bit for people who feel like that. You know, like if I must have this, or I must have this TV series or my life is incomplete. It's like, I realize there's hyperbole on the web. I mean, crikey. If there wasn't, it's an even more terrifying place than I fear. But
could you imagine?
Oh man, if everybody just said what this is a mad thing.
Can you imagine that many old people really finding Minions that funny?
Well, quite so. Exactly, right? It's these levels of things. It's like, you know, can you imagine? I don't even know. Can you imagine somebody who likes a particular breakfast cereal so much that I'm trying to dance around this one carefully because where my brain went to initially, I can't say that.
Okay. Right.
Can you imagine? Here we go. Can you imagine a world in which people who like a certain type of breakfast cereal feel that the other people are just as bad as murderers? Because that wasn't where my brain went first.
No. Episode title: Serial Killer.
Yeah, oh, very nice. I like that.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it's a weird, for me, it's a mad world in that respect. Like, there's such fury on both sides of the aisle, and there's also such willingness to believe anything as long as it gels with what you think.
Yeah.
Like, there was a good example of it, actually. This happened this week. There was a tweet that did the rounds about a character in, I want to say episode 4 of The Mandalorian, who was a woman in a village who could fire a gun, right?
Yeah, okay.
And there was this big media outrage, like, oh, somebody tweeted about this and they were outraged, and it just goes to show how fragile fanboys are and blah, blah, blah. The tweet was from a parody account.
Yeah.
A labeled parody account.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Yeah, but this
number of times I've posted an Onion article and people think I'm being serious.
Totally, this is it. Like, but the fact that people, I don't necessarily, I find it harder and harder to believe that people are looking at these things and not just going, I can probably get away with it. People won't check.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there are genuinely people who are like bad actors in that respect. And I don't mean bad actors like that time.
Sense,
I don't mean that bad actors like that time Derek Jacobi was in Frasier, where he's playing the total ham. I just mean I really think there are people who look at this stuff and go, do you know what? I can get away with this. And even if people notice that it's based on nothing, the lie will get around the world halfway around the world before the truth puts its trousers on.
Yeah.
And it's sad, and like I say, all I'm kind of hoping is we're 2 weeks out from the Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, so it's 14. By the time we get to recording in 2 weeks' time, we will have probably both seen it. I think.
No,
seems it seems like a high probability. We'll at least be on the way to having both seen it.
Yeah.
In let's say within 3 weeks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Within 3 weeks, we'll have both seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so close, and I know that it's going to be a firestorm around it because it just is. Like whatever people want to believe about The Last Jedi, it has divided some fans.
No, of course it has.
Yeah. To what degree can be debated.
To say that The Last Jedi was not controversial is blind.
Absolutely, yeah, or at least willfully kind of willfully oblivious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or William fully oblivious. William oblivious in full, to give his full title.
Yeah, it's
people really didn't. It really resonated with people, or it really didn't.
There's a real. I think we saw the same thing with the prequels as well. There just wasn't the spread of
online wasn't as online
and doxing to make it as virulent as it is now. But we seem to have moved away from this sense of I didn't like this movie to, as you say, I didn't like this movie, and if you did, you're a moron.
Yeah.
And
vice versa. I love this movie, and if you didn't like it, you just don't get it.
But I used to get wound up when people said that to me, and I've kind of shifted my own perspective to more recently just kind of going, well, I'm not, but all right, if you go off and have that opinion, that's fine. To even more recently, just going, I might be.
Maybe, yeah, it's entirely possible.
As the years have gone by, I've kind of become more open to the idea that I am actually a moron and everyone else is right.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I don't know. It's not true, but I do know that having that attitude saves me a lot of effort in internet discussions.
That is fair, yeah. That's totally reasonable to say, I think.
Because nothing shuts an internet conversation down. Or someone like ragging on me for not liking Last Jedi or for liking Revenge of the Sith, two opinions that I hold.
Yeah.
Nothing rags it down. Nothing defuses them and gives them just like argumentative blue balls, quite like saying... yeah, maybe. Just quite like saying, yeah, but I'm an idiot.
Okay, interesting.
This is like, oh, okay. Just if you and I don't bother arguing on the internet anymore anyway, because I'm slowly becoming aware that it changes absolutely nothing. And as you say, what happens is people's feelings get hurt on both sides.
Yeah, that's it. And
if your feelings aren't hurt, you're still wound up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because and sometimes I do find myself looking at stuff sometimes, and I want to say something, and I'm just like, you know what, and I think like you, I think this thing, you know what, it's not worth the hassle that comes with it.
For me, my new rule is I don't post a third comment.
Okay.
Unless in an argument, if I'm having fun, we're having a riff, we're having a joke off, something like, Facebook friends can run for 100 odd comments, so that's fine. But if I'm having a political discussion or any other kind of discussion with someone, if I find myself typing a third comment, I kind of go, no, just stop. Because you're not going to change. If you've had 2 exchanges, he's come back, you're not changing his mind, he's not changing your mind, all that's happening is this is going to drag on. So
exactly. It's going to waste everybody's time.
So it doesn't necessarily work for everyone or for all things, but it stops me getting wound up.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you got to do whatever works for you, right? So, you know, if that's what works for you and you find yourself able to walk away from it and be like, well, that's about as wound up as I can possibly be, but at the same time, it's not going to get any worse. Mm-hmm. Or if you're just like, hey, that was fun, and just kind of walk away, that's something else entirely. But I worry about people.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I meet them. Yeah,
well, this is the other thing as well. Is when you meet them, they're like perfectly fine and lovely, and everything's good, and you can disagree, and that's fine.
Yeah.
My end point is like I don't talk to anybody. I don't talk to anybody online about anything important.
That seems good.
Yeah. Or indeed, I just don't engage online at all. Like I send out the links to say, "Hey, there's new stuff you might like," and that's kind of my limit now. And that's I've become more of a promoter and less of a person online, and kind of more of a promoter of things. And that's all right.
You usually set the approach of spamming out links and stuff, and that is great. That is essential.
It does. It is effective.
It helps. It's kind of your role at E14. I don't use the word job because I got told off last time I did. I'm told it's not a job, and then suddenly found myself in a disciplinary for it. Pick a side, Wade.
You said dress for the job you want, and I just don't feel. I feel like any job, with the exception of porn star, puts more clothes on.
Yeah.
Call me old fashioned.
Yeah.
Go for an old fashioned.
I post content. I post gags. I post random thoughts on both my Facebook and my Twitter and my Instagram.
Yeah, I know.
Some of which are funny and some which aren't, because it's a belt-fed brain at the end of the day. But I don't find myself engaging in dialogues much anymore.
Yeah, but I think part of that is the nature of the landscape. I think people are talking past each other in this respect now. I think that whatever, like you said, whatever it's about, whether it's Star Trek or whether it's video games or tabletop games or politics or anything, people are just. All they want to really do is say what they think, and I think most there's maybe not most people, that would be excessively generalizing, but certainly a decent proportion of people I think would be happy if there was just a way to just vomit out their thoughts and turn comments off.
I wonder if that's why Instagram got popular recently.
But then they still have comments in there. But maybe people are less inclined to write serious things on Instagram.
Instagram is not built for dialogue. Facebook is built for dialogue. Instagram is not. Instagram, as you say, has comments, but Instagram is very much more a platform rather than a forum.
Yeah. I think you might be right. Twitter
blurs that line a little more.
Oh, the Twitter's probably the worst of the lot, to be honest, in terms of the quality of discourse. But maybe that's just the company I keep on Facebook. Twitter's less of a... Yeah. Facebook's more of a collection of people I know and or like.
And Berks, yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. People I know and or like or have known. Yeah. And that's fine. And ultimately... the thing I guess the result is, I realize we've gone way off topic here, but, at the same time, it's been a slow week. It's a lot of...
Maybe we should change the logo, so it's talk, ? Star Wars, ?
Will they talk? Will it be Star Wars? Tune in. But I think... One of the things I really like, and I've started to make more use of, is the ability to mute and unfollow threads and things and words.
I've got heavier on the block button.
In the election, the block button is pointless to me. Like, it's just, that suggests to me that the people I was, so like with me, it's just muting, because I don't expect them to be in a position where they're going to come at me. I just don't want to hear I just don't care what they have to say. Blocks for me seems more like a tool for somebody's abusing me, and I want them to stop, and also like to not be able to contact me in any possible way. Yeah, because people will just circumvent that if they care enough. But at the same time, at least if they're showing willingness to circumvent, you can just report them to the various platforms and just say, "Hey, somebody is going out of their way to violate your rules. Get rid of them, please, or like, do something about them, please."
Yeah,
I do. I report the odd thing if I think it's really egregious, but generally, it's like that has to be really egregious. That has to be like porn that's not labeled up as porn, because like that's just the kind of thing where it's like, well, you should probably label that up.
Yeah,
because 13-year-olds can see that, and some in particular is like that. I'm 35 and I don't want to see that.
Can you forward it to me?
I mean, certainly I could give you a sense of what to search for, but I'd rather not search it up myself again. God, I don't even know why it came up on my feed in the first place, but there it was.
The rest of his conversation has been deleted in the interest of good taste. Welcome to Talk Star Wars.
Yeah, welcome to talk civility. Like, yeah. Anyway, let's say I've realised we've gone way off topic, but it kind of ties into the Rise of Skywalker stuff and the Star Wars discourse stuff, because it felt for a couple of weeks like the Mandalorian had been like a unifying force. Like the Mandalorian and Fallen Order.
Does to me. Maybe I'm a bit behind.
The Mandalorian and Fallen Order had both come out, and most people were happy, apart from the usual grievance mongers were happy, right? They were like, these are really cool. I like these. And then,
can we start calling them General Grievance? I like that better.
General Grievance, yeah, that works for me. General Grievers.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. So anyway, the General Grievers were still there, because they always are, because that's a lot. In some cases, that's how they make any money. Is to do general grieving, and
it's good, isn't it?
I mean, it must be. I mean, it's probably nice work if you can get it. I don't know if I could take the damage it would do to my soul, but then after a couple of weeks, and then these things start popping up. Like I say, this notion of running with this narrative of somebody's salty about women got guns, haha, and it's all based on nothing. But they know that people will look at it and go, I can't believe that. I can believe. Of course, I can believe that. It's like, yeah, of course you can, because they know you're going to believe it when they tell you, and it doesn't matter if it's true or not. Or at least, it's a tweet that existed. That much is true. It's not a tweet from somebody who meant to write it seriously, and yet, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. They don't. How best to put this in succinctly, because I'm conscious of the fact that I don't want to spend too long on it. Don't let people who don't have your best interests at heart mug you off when it comes to how to feel and what to think, because these media outlets and these platforms have figured out that the emotion that gets the most reaction is anger, and so they weaponize it to get your attention, to get your clicks, to get your ad revenue from serving you, in some cases, bloody awful blogs in terms of presence and, propensity and position of ads. Just atrocious. Like, just really over the top and egregious and really, intrusive advertising stuff. It's just mad. Anyway, that was just an aside. But don't let people...
An aside was as long as the preceding show.
I know, but don't let people... So it's just a general piece of advice for just navigating your way around the internet, keeping your sanity, is don't let people mug you off. Yeah. If you see something... Or
just be friends with Rob and I. That's all you need.
Yeah, well, that too. We're pretty accessible on social media, so that's fine. Yeah. Despite its faults, because it's the best way to... there is arguably no better way to promote yourself, and that's something we are keen to do where possible, where appropriate. So, that's kind of one of those things. But, as I say, just don't let people exploit you when it comes to how you feel and what you think, and next time you're looking, if you feel the instinctive reactive urge to jump in and have a flame war, take a step back and just keep in mind how much, and just stop and think how much of what I'm about to say is actually factual actual, and how much of it is just my opinion, but I really strongly believe it. That's great. You can hold an opinion. You can hold it as strongly as you possibly want. But there's this notion that feelings and facts are the same thing. They're both important, but they're not. They're two different things, and they both have value, but they both have value in context. And next time you're next time you're on the verge of unleashing both barrels on somebody because you hold a difference of opinion, just stop and take a breath and just weigh up how much of what you're about to say is actually just something you believe very strongly. And that, again, that's fine. But it's not worth the cost. Any other Star Wars bits you got? I feel like there should have been a bigger pause for maximum comedic
maybe not giving into your anger and get involved in a flaming battle. I mean, that's basically what the story for prequels is.
Exactly. Episode 3 made it crystal clear. Could not have been clearer on that subject. It just seems like people are willfully ignoring that. But of course they will, because X.
Yeah.
I've learned nothing from my own words.
That was InfoWars, was it?
Galactic InfoWars. Yeah, why not? Why not? Any other bits? Let me just check to make sure we haven't had any. This happens quite a lot. We get ones where we're just on the brink of finishing recording and something comes in. I'm just going to double check.
Just for the brink of finishing off.
Exactly, yeah. And somebody jumps in. Sideshow Collectibles has got some new stuff. Shocker. Oh, tell you what, though. They're 6th scale Hot Toys figures, and they are rather nice.
Nice.
Han Solo in Carbonite, which is... Okay. Boba Fett looks very good.
Always.
Yeah. They got a new Darth Sidious Mythos statue, which looks very cool.
Oh, nice.
A life-size bronze Yoda statue. That can't be cheap.
No.
No. Yeah, so do you know what? I'm curious now. $8,500.
Nice.
That is how much that costs. And sorry, this is not relevant. This is not related to Star Wars specifically, but I'm just reading this Sideshow newsletter, and like I say, they got some really nice 6th scale Hot Toys figures that look fantastic likeness, and then they've got immediately underneath it Paddington Bear Bricks figures, and it could not look less like Paddington if it was Yoda.
On my Facebook, someone's just 3D printed in Warhammer scale the Tower of Lorthanc.
Wow.
I've just shared it on my Facebook if you want to.
I will check that out. Yeah,
it's modelled on the Peter Jackson version.
Yeah, I mean this is the easiest one to model it on, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
There's one last thing actually. So last week, James Weibel was kind enough to point out to us that we are not on Pandora, the platform. So I thought I'd look into. No, I looked into this. Unfortunately, Pandora do not accept submissions from outside the USA.
Well, I'm going to call this out. That's racist.
Well, I mean, there are probably closer words to it, but I think that's as good a word as any, certainly for the immediate.
Yes.
And I think, if people want it, they should ask nicely of Pandora. So, hey, Pandora, how about opening it up to the EU? We want our Talk Star Wars fix.
Yeah, you bunch of Sith Lords.
I'm not going to say for sure, be mean to them. Be nice to them. I've certainly found, as people who follow my Twitter will have no doubt noticed that I got into a rather significant. What's the best way of putting it? I mean, it wasn't actually a strop, but it looked like one. With a crowdfunding company and a crowdfunding campaign went on for quite some time. But I did get what I wanted, and the reason I got what I wanted was because I never abused them. I just pointed out they were rubbish, but I did it in a way that was nice and not so abusive. And you can see, even on the crowdfunding page now, people are still not getting their stuff, and some of them are very abusive about it. I understand it, but at the same time, it's not going to get you your stuff any faster. To F and blind, Maybe blind, I don't know. But not effing, certainly. Effing and blinded won't get you anywhere. Anyway, I'm going to call time on this weird recording because I'm conscious of the fact that it's been like an hour and 19, and I think about 38 minutes of that was Star Wars, and the other half was just this kind of weird diatribe about the state of social media.
I enjoyed it.
And ultimately, even if I'm not on my most, what's the word? Lucid. I like to think that I'm, people can at least get where I'm coming from. So if for any reason you don't, then that's fine. Why not email and tell me why or in what way you disagree? And that's fine. And we can all be good about it. Podcast@emotionally14.com. Just like I've had messages behind the scenes from where people have comments about stuff and they don't want it read on the air. And it's just a kind of, just their point of view. And that's fine. I can do that. I will, if people don't want me to share stuff publicly, I won't. That's also, perfectly acceptable. But if people do want me to read it out, then that's the other place. The same place is the same email address, podcast@emotionally14.com. That's where you get your emails, comments, questions to the show. You can also do it on Emotionally 14, like I mentioned, like Brian did earlier, to tell us about his pick for Asajj Ventress, which is a good pick.
Yeah.
You can also tweet @TalkStarWars, and obviously the DMs are open there, but if you're just going to send us a message saying, hi, name of account, I'm going to assume you're spam and just ignore you. So, fair warning, because that's happened quite a lot recently. It seems to be the new thing. But those are the ways to do it. And then obviously, @Emotionally14 is also on Twitter. I say Talkstar was on Emotionally 14 every Monday. Saturday, if you're a patron, obviously if you're on patreon.com/TalkStarWars, that's $1 a month and you get a ad-free version of every show. And that drops slightly earlier, so that's cool. It's well worth doing. Brad, social media, despite its faults, where can we find you on it?
If you have enjoyed my appearance on this week's episode of Talk Star Wars, then you can also find me on my other show, Fire When Ready, over on emotionally14.com, which is me doing all Star Wars tabletop gaming related nonsense with my dad. And you can find that show on Instagram and Facebook @Fire When Ready UK. If you want to follow me, you can find me on Facebook. I have a direct URL at facebook.com/Brad Harmer Barnes. That's spelt Harmer Barnes, not Humber Buns. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram @RealBradHB. If you've really enjoyed my meager contributions of and yes to this week's tirade, then you can buy my books on Audible and Amazon.
Yes, you can. And you can do so with a link that's available on every Talk Star Wars blog post, which will take you directly there. So you can buy all the books and enjoy them because they're good.
Thank you.
I've read them and I liked them.
Yes.
To varying degrees.
100% success rate for both of us.
There you go, right? So it's I mean, obviously I made it slightly easier for myself by only writing the one, but, it makes it a very binary successful failure state, which I found. So I can be found on Twitter and Instagram @RobWadeVision. If you find yourself like, wow, I really enjoyed that tirade, I look forward to not seeing anything of the sort on social media because he's consciously avoiding doing that stuff, then @RobWadeVision is where you can see me being all polite and automatic. But I also tweet out some absolutely choice meme responses. So, if you want to know what a line that you can say during sex and in Starbucks is, that
was a good one. Yeah.
Best expressed, or indeed what line would work in Star Wars too. I didn't really feel like that one got as much attention as I felt like it should have. I went with, well, something's not right because now I can't see.
Yes.
A classic, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and, you can do that. So @RobWadeVision on Twitter and Instagram, I'm there too. I'm more active on Twitter. So if you're really into Twitter, then that's the place. If Instagram, then just comment on stuff and it'll make me realize the people were there all along.
Yeah.
Whether I do anything about that remains to be seen, but what's next usually after that? Commonwealth.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So, I'll tell you what, actually, this is a good opportunity to sort of bring it up in context. If you're like us, but not like us, in so much as...
Stop saying like. We've had a letter about that already.
If you're for the same mindset as us, man, this is tricky.
If you're as of this podcast.
If you're similarly not found this podcast... If you're listening to this podcast and thinking, man, I really wish they'd talk about The Mandalorian, then you're in luck because the Commonwealth is full of podcasts who do just that, and they're really good at it. So,
bang in.
If you want to listen to podcasts like that, then here's some really good ones to do. So, Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, The Nerd Room, the Rogue Squadron podcast, San Diego Sabres, Retro Inc., they're British, so they might run into the same problem, but they're there anyway in the network. Mm-hmm. And the Sandcrawler Cast with Dan and Mike. All of those shows are well worth your time, and you can find out more about them and indeed find all their latest episodes on the web at StarWarsCommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. So thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars this week. Apologies, this has been an odd show, but at the same time, I feel like every time we end up with what seems like a short one, something happens to make that not happen.
Yeah.
So this week it was a weird tirade about the state of discourse. So, enjoy that. And like I say, if you enjoyed it or even if you didn't, I've given you all the tools to tell me what you think.
All the material you could want.
I've given you all the material you could want. I've given you all the tools possible. And I've given you a really good guideline for how to make me pay attention to what you're saying. Because, I made it pretty clear abuse doesn't wash. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. And especially if you've gone this far and bearing with us. Thank you very much for listening to Talk Star Wars this week. We'll be back for what will probably to be a probably slightly more normal one next week for episode 193, as we will count down to 7 days before The Rise of Skywalker premieres. And until then, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, because I did just say, and may the Force be with you.